Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Heather and I talk all about decluttering and minimalism. Today we are going to discuss what is called our fantasy self. So what is our fantasy self? Our fantasy self is who we wish we could be and who we think we should be in relation to who we really are. It's the idea of how you want people to perceive you that isn't the real you. It's also the things that we do or the things that we buy to try to be more impressive to other people. All those things that we do to try to seem more accomplished to other people than what we are. Our fantasy self could be connected to the things that we've bought or the things that we've done in the past that no longer have a purpose in our current season of life. Our fantasy self can also be connected to the person we secretly wish to be in the future and the things that we're currently buying or doing right now. So for me, my fantasy self is in the past, who I used to be. The me that woke up every day and did her hair and makeup and really cared about my appearance. The me that used to save my clothes from when I was smaller because I thought one day I would get back in them. So the things that I've shared that are connected to the past, those things I've had to let go of, because in this season of life, that's not what I'm concerned with anymore. I'm concerned with getting out of bed, with my house being easy to clean, and with peace of mind and quiet time. So when I've decluttered the things linked to the past, it's brought me peace of mind. In reality, if I lost a bunch more weight, I probably still wouldn't be able to fit back in those clothes. Because, you know, as you age, your body changes. And the way clothes used to fit, they don't fit that way anymore, even if you weigh the same amount. And so I would have been sadly disappointed if I ever did fit back in them in the way that they just wouldn't fit the same anymore. And I had to wrap my mind around that and let those things go. And if I get down to that size again, then I'll buy new clothes that will actually fit my body type now. And as far as my hair and my makeup, it's a big deal to have my hair out of a ponytail and actually put makeup on. So I have to be feeling really good in order for that to happen. You guys saw me declutter my desk 3 times in order to get all the makeup out. It's not that I wore the makeup, it's just I was so used to it being there that I got clutter blindness to it. And it just made it really hard to get rid of it. So it was hard to let it go just because I was used to it being there. But it feels so much better to have let the stuff go that I don't use anymore. So now when I get in my desk, I don't have all that makeup in there saying, you need to be wearing me, when I already know I'm not going to wear it. And it really does feel a lot better for it to be gone. And so what I've learned about the fantasy self, like whether it's hobbies that you're working on or like your current projects like sewing or knitting or crocheting or calligraphy or stamping, scrapbooking, all that stuff. We need to give ourselves limits like 6 months to a year to see if those hobbies really do fit into our life or if they're just becoming clutter in our house. Because there's absolutely no reason to keep this stuff around when it's not being used, when you could sell it or give it to somebody else that would use it. The very last thing we want to do is let a fantasy self clutter our house. Not to mention the time, the money, and the guilt that these things are going to bring us every time we see them. We don't need these things speaking negatively to us at all. So as soon as you decide that something isn't for you, then take the measures to get it out of your house and don't let it become clutter. But I do want to say this, if you're a person who deals with depression, then you may want to give yourself a couple of years to see if you cycle through it and want to come back to this hobby. Because if you deal with depression, you know that when it hits, that you just go through a period of time where you don't care about anything anymore. And you could really regret getting rid of these things. So in this scenario, please give yourself time. So I really do want to talk about clothing. We see all the ads on Facebook and Instagram, and we shop all the sites and we see all the advertising. And it's so disappointing to bring home something or order something and then it doesn't fit and it doesn't look good on us like it did the model, who, by the way, gets paid thousands of dollars to sell that item to you because she has the perfect body. So if you're hanging on the fantasy self clothing, things that are too tight or too short or they just fit weird, that have weird hemlines and weird sleeves and whatever else is weird about them, when you look at them hanging in your closet, what do they say to you? Because everything you own speaks to you. What's your clothing saying to you? Do they remind you that you're too fat to wear them? Do they remind you that they've been hanging there for years? Do they make you feel like a failure because you can't get in them? Or do you have clothing in your closet that you spent a lot of money on, or that you meant to return and you didn't get it done, and now they're just hanging out in there mocking you every time you see them, calling you a failure and saying, look at you, you're just so wasteful. These type of clothes do nothing but discourage us every time we try them on and they don't fit. So they need to leave our homes. They're not good for our mental health, and we must get them out. We must get them out of our house. We need freedom and peace of mind from all of these things that speak so negatively to us. In our closets, there should only be things in there that we can fit into, that we currently love, and that we can wear. Otherwise, we have a problem. And another thing we need to consider, with all these extra clothes that are useless to us, it's making the laundry process that we have to do harder on ourselves. So if you're not ready to let these things go yet, at least move them out of your closet and store them somewhere where you're not seeing them every day, where they're not screaming negative things at you every day. You can put them in a box and put a label on there that says declutter in 6 months. And if you've not made any progress toward getting back in these clothes, then it would be time to donate them. So donate them, sell them, throw them away, whatever it is that you do with the things that you don't want anymore. But don't let these things bully you. Listen, this is important. It's just clothing. Just clothing. That's all it is. Just clothing. And one way to determine what's clutter in your closet or in your dresser is to ask yourself, if you were standing at the store right now and this item was in front of you, would you buy it again? And if the answer is no, well, that's clutter. A lot of times we just buy these pieces of clothing or these other supplies that are part of our fantasy self that end up just becoming clutter. Even if you're not aware of it, everything that you own, everything that's tucked in a drawer or in a closet, it's on your mind and it has something to say to you. So pay attention when you come across things, what it is that they're saying to you. And why do we feel that our authentic self isn't good enough? And I would say the answer to that is consumerism. They have to make you feel bad about yourself, or promise that they have something that will make your life so much better if you just buy it. They have to give you a way to make you think that their item will improve you in order to sell the item to you. And if the history of the things we've bought says anything at all, it's that that is just not true. And they already know before you buy a thing, while they're trying to sell it to you, that the end result is going to be that you're just probably going to feel bad about yourself. So whatever these things are that you've bought for your fantasy self, whether they've been in your house a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, it's time to get them out, because they are having a negative effect on your mental health. Letting these things go can be relieving and refreshing, and can help you find your authentic self, who you should want to be anyway, and hopefully you will learn to love who you are for who you are. And this doesn't have to be clothing, it can be anything that you're holding on to in order to make somebody think that you're better than what you are, when what you are naturally is who you're supposed to be. It's time to embrace it. I wish you all peace of mind, and I hope you can find within yourself to see what's really going on with these things and what's going on with consumerism. We've been played by the stores, by the companies that make the products, and we fell for it. But that's okay, because once you know better, you do better. So that's all for today's video on the fantasy self. I hope I made it clear and understandable, and if you found this video helpful, then I would ask you to like the video, because it's the best compliment you can give me. And if you want to hear more on decluttering and minimalism, then please subscribe and turn on your notification bell. It's free to do so. You guys leave me a comment about some of the fantasy self things that you're considering letting go of. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for spending this little bit of time with me.